Welcome to another episode of the Retirepreneur podcast. I'm your host with this week's executive summary for busy entrepreneurs building their second act business. Today's episode is designed for maximum impact in minimum time.
And we are definitely keeping it highly focused today, especially if you're listening to this deep dive right now on your morning walk or commute.
Right, because you probably spent the last 2 or 3 decades in corporate management. You have managed profit and loss statements. You have handled massive departmental budgets.
You know how businesses actually run, and you are looking at your next chapter right now. You want hard data on second act income models.
Exactly. You do not need another motivational speech. You do not need vague advice about finding your passion. You want the real numbers.
So we're analyzing research from a platform called Retirepreneur. It was built by Kurt Rose.
Right. He is a 63-year-old CPA and a former chief financial officer. He actually built this exact framework for his own transition.
Yeah, he is documenting the reality of entrepreneurship for professionals over 55. He is a peer who is one chapter further down the road, not some guru selling a secret formula.
And the data he brings up is just fascinating. Because what if I told you that a 58-year-old with zero startup experience is actually 85% more likely to build a successful business than a 25-year-old tech founder?
I mean, it completely shatters the typical Silicon Valley startup stereotype. Research from MIT confirms this.
Oh, really? MIT did a study on this.
Yeah, they confirmed that 55 to 64-year-olds are currently the fastest growing segment of new entrepreneurs. They saw a 35% increase from 2015 to 2024 alone.
Wow. That is a massive jump.
It really is. And according to U.S. Census Bureau data, 52.3% of all U.S. businesses are owned by people 55 and older.
So the media focuses on the college dropout building an app, right? But the actual economy is being driven by experienced professionals transitioning out of the corporate world.
Exactly. And that means you do not need to act like a young founder running on caffeine and panic. You have something much more valuable.
Right. You have 30 years of pattern recognition. You have 30 years of seeing what works, what fails, and how human beings actually behave under pressure.
Yeah, the Kauffman Foundation found that founders with just 3 years of prior industry experience are 85% more likely to build successful businesses. And you have 30.
30 years is a massive structural advantage. Plus, your financial stability helps too, right?
Oh, absolutely. You lack that desperate, frantic energy that derails so many early-stage businesses. You are not forced to make terrible short-term decisions just to make payroll next week.
You are entering this phase with refined judgment and a highly developed network. So our goal in this briefing is to extract 3 highly specific, actionable models from Kurt's research.
Models you can actually evaluate this week based on your available capital and your personal timeline.
Right. So let us start with the absolute fastest path to replacing your corporate income. Because before we look at complex acquisitions or digital products, we have to look at immediate cash flow.
Yeah, we need to talk about how you can monetize the network and the skills you already possess right now. The research points to paths where you can launch and see your first dollar within 30 to 60 days.
Which is incredible turnaround time. And the 2 major models here are consulting and fractional executive work.
People use those 2 terms interchangeably all the time.
Yeah.
But looking at the data, they seem fundamentally different.
Right. They are completely different structural models. So consulting is strictly project-based. It has clearly defined finite deliverables.
You come into a company, you diagnose a specific problem, and you recommend a strategy. Then you hand over a tangible result, like a comprehensive report or a new operational roadmap.
And then you leave. You're done. But fractional executive work, that is a defined, ongoing operational role.
Right. Think of a part-time chief financial officer or a chief marketing officer. You might dedicate 8 to 20 hours a week to a single company.
So you are taking on ongoing leadership responsibilities there. You are managing vendors, sitting in on executive meetings. You are accountable for the ongoing results of that department.
Exactly. And both of these models are highly attractive because they require near zero startup capital. You literally just need your brain, your experience, and a laptop.
And a phone. But let us talk about the money. The data shows fractional engagements usually pay between $5,000 to $15,000 per month per client.
Which is fantastic. But for the consulting route, Kurt provides a very specific floor rate formula to figure out what you should actually be charging.
Right. The formula is crucial. You take your target annual income, and then you divide that number by 1,000 networking hours.
Right. And then you multiply that result by 1.5 to cover your taxes and overhead.
Wait, why 1,000 hours? A standard corporate work year is about 2,000 hours, is it not?
It is. But dividing your target by 1,000 hours acknowledges the reality of being a solopreneur. You will spend countless hours on business development.
Oh, right. Admin work, unbillable client discovery calls, all of that.
Exactly. You simply cannot bill 2,000 hours a year. It is impossible. And multiplying by 1.5 ensures you do not take a massive, unexpected pay cut once the self-employment taxes hit your ledger.
Because basic overhead costs add up fast, so that final number becomes your absolute floor for taking on project work. Do not go below it.
Never go below it.
Yeah.
But I know you had a thought about the fractional executive model.
Yeah, I am struggling with the fractional model a bit. I mean, are companies genuinely eager to hire part-time executives?
They really are.
It just feels like something a company would do just to cut costs, like a corporate loophole for hiring glorified temp workers to avoid paying health benefits.
Well, companies are actively seeking this arrangement for a very specific reason. They want high-level operational oversight without the massive financial burden of full-time executive overhead.
Okay, that makes sense. So they do not want to pay for a full-time CFO.
Right. Consider a mid-sized manufacturing company doing $10 million in revenue. The founder knows they desperately need the strategic brain of a seasoned CFO to restructure their debt.
To help them reach $20 million in revenue, maybe.
Exactly. But the business simply cannot justify a $300,000 base salary plus an annual bonus plus equity plus benefits for that position.
So you come in for 15 hours a week at maybe $10,000 a month, and they get your 30 years of corporate finance experience to fix their specific bottlenecks.
And you get a highly lucrative, flexible engagement. You are solving a $500,000 problem in a fraction of the time it takes a junior employee to even understand the problem.
That speed and accuracy is exactly what you are billing for. You are selling the shortcut and the avoidance of massive, expensive mistakes.
You are selling the judgment you acquired over 3 decades. A junior employee will spend 3 weeks researching a vendor dispute.
And a seasoned fractional executive knows exactly who to call and how to leverage the contract to resolve it in 20 minutes.
Exactly. But fractional work does have a hard ceiling because you still only have 24 hours in a day.
Right. Even at $15,000 a month per client, you can only handle maybe 3 or 4 clients before you are right back to working a stressful 60-hour week.
Which defeats the whole purpose of the second act. Eventually, you might want to decouple your time from your income.
So how do we do that? How do we digitize decades of experience without just becoming another cheap online course?
Well, the environment for digital scaling has fundamentally changed. The old model was simple. You record a bunch of videos talking to a camera and package them into a static course.
And you sell it for $500. But that model is dead now, right?
Completely dead. Static online courses are now commodities because artificial intelligence can generate a competent, highly detailed answer to almost any business question in 60 seconds.
Right. I mean, why would someone pay for a static video series on supply chain optimization when they can prompt an AI tool to give them a customized framework instantly for free?
Exactly. The model that actually works now in 2026 is the course plus cohort.
A course plus cohort. Okay. So what is the difference?
Well, a $50 course only provides information, and information is practically free now. But a $1,000 cohort provides transformation.
Transformation, meaning it provides accountability, peer interaction, and your live facilitation.
Yes. People are paying for the structured outcome, and your decades of judgment applied to their specific messy situations. They want to bring their real-world problems to a live session.
And have an expert tell them exactly how to navigate it. It feels a bit like buying a treadmill for the basement versus a boot camp.
Oh, that is a great analogy.
Yeah, like if I buy a $50 online course, it just sits in my inbox gathering dust, exactly like a treadmill holding laundry in the guest room.
We all have one of those.
Right. But if I pay a premium for a live fitness boot camp, I am paying for the pain and the accountability.
You are paying for a structured environment with a coach and a group of peers that forces you to actually show up every Tuesday morning and get the result, not just the equipment.
Right. The accountability is the product. Their time is incredibly valuable, and they want the transformation guaranteed by a schedule.
But, and this is crucial, before you spend 40 hours building a 12-week cohort curriculum and filming videos, you absolutely must validate the idea.
Do not build a single slide yet. Kurt has a specific validation metric you can run this week.
Yeah, look at your existing network. Talk to 10 people who fit your target audience and ask them exclusively about their problems.
Right. Do not pitch your proposed solution. Just listen to their pain points.
If 5 out of those 10 people explicitly say they would pay for structured help to solve that problem, you have a business worth building.
5 out of 10. That is the magic ratio.
Yeah.
But why not just pitch them the idea right away?
Because when we pitch a brilliant solution we have come up with, people naturally want to be polite.
Mm-hmm.
They will tell you it sounds like a great idea.
Oh, right. They will say they would definitely buy it someday.
Exactly. But politeness does not process credit cards.
Yeah.
By focusing only on the problem and asking if they would pay for a structured path out of it, you get honest data.
You are looking for them to say, this problem is costing me $10,000 a month. I would gladly pay $2,000 to make it stop.
Yes. And if you do not hit that 5 out of 10 threshold, you just pivot.
Right.
You've lost nothing but a few hours of conversation rather than 6 months of course development.
That makes total sense. But what if you do not want to be the product at all?
That is a very fair question.
What if you do not want to do fractional work and you definitely do not want to facilitate a cohort of students every week? What if you have capital available?
Well, if you prefer to apply your heavy management skills to an existing asset, we need to look at longer range paths. These fall into the Tier 2 models.
And the two primary vehicles here are franchise ownership and business acquisition.
Right. And with franchising, we are not talking about buying a fast food franchise and working the cash register on the weekends.
Definitely not. We are talking about the executive franchise model. You do not work in the business. You run it.
You hire the managers, apply rigorous financial discipline, and oversee operations just like you did as a corporate director.
And Kurt's research specifically highlights senior care franchises here due to massive demographic tailwinds.
It makes a lot of sense. There are currently 58 million Americans over the age of 65. That is an undeniable market force.
But there is a very crucial action step before you sign a single franchise document, right?
Oh, absolutely critical. You must hire a franchise attorney to review Item 19 of the franchise disclosure document.
Item 19, what is in that specific section?
It contains the real, legally binding earnings data of existing franchise owners. Do not just listen to the franchise sales consultant giving you best-case scenarios.
Because a sales consultant is selling you a dream. An attorney is protecting your net worth.
Exactly. Now, the other side of this Tier 2 coin is acquiring an existing independent business.
Right. You skip the grueling startup phase completely and just buy existing cash flow. This is typically done using an SBA 7 loan.
Yes. This loan structure allows you to acquire a business with about a 10% down payment. But looking at Kurt's framework, there are 3 absolute non-negotiable traits of a clean acquisition.
What is the first one?
First, the business must have 3 years of completely clean financials. No exceptions.
Makes sense. And the second trait?
Second, the seller must have a reason for exiting that makes logical sense. Retirement or health issues make sense. Fleeing a dying industry does not.
Right. And the third trait is that the buyer must understand the operational reality of that specific business. Corporate executives fall into a trap here all the time, do they not?
Oh, constantly. Imagine a former vice president of strategy who buys a local commercial HVAC company because the margins on the spreadsheet look fantastic.
Right. They plan to apply their Fortune 500 efficiency models to optimize the workflow.
Exactly. But they have absolutely no idea how to handle a crucial piece of legacy machinery breaking down on a Tuesday morning, or how to manage the specific labor dynamics of a warehouse floor during a technician shortage.
They brought corporate charts to a blue-collar operational fight.
Precisely. They did not understand the daily friction, and the business just bleeds cash. You also must budget upfront for a thorough quality of earnings analysis and heavy legal fees.
But taking on a massive SBA loan or paying a 5 to 10% franchise royalty every single month, I mean, that feels incredibly risky for someone who is looking to protect their retirement nest egg.
It is extremely risky.
If I have spent 30 years building financial security, risking a significant chunk of it on acquiring a local plumbing business seems terrifying.
And it should be. This is why Kurt insists on matching your business model to your financial runway first.
So do not fall in love with the idea of being a business owner if a failed SBA loan would ruin your retirement.
Right. If you cannot afford the capital risk, or you cannot afford the 6 to 12-month timeline it takes to source and close a solid acquisition, you must default to the Tier 1 models.
You just go back to consulting or fractional work. The second act model must serve your financial security. It cannot threaten the stability you have spent your life building.
Absolutely. So we have covered 3 distinct paths to your second act: fractional work, digital cohorts, and buying existing cash flow.
But there is one critical structural hurdle you absolutely must factor into your financial modeling before you launch any of these.
This is the hurdle that catches many late career entrepreneurs completely off guard when tax season arrives. We are talking about the reality of Social Security earnings limits.
Right. If you are under your full retirement age and you start drawing Social Security benefits, you face a strict annual earnings limit.
Yes. And for 2024, that limit is $22,320.
And the penalty for crossing that line is steep. Social Security will withhold $1 in benefits for every $2 you earn above that limit.
It effectively functions as a massive hidden tax on your new business income. And furthermore, you will also be subject to a 15.3% self-employment tax on your net profits.
Right, because in the corporate world, your employer paid half of your payroll taxes. Now you pay both halves.
If you model your new consulting income based solely on your gross billing, without factoring in the self-employment tax and the Social Security limits, your cash flow projections will be dangerously inaccurate.
You could literally be working 40 hours a week and keeping less than half of what you bring in.
Which is why you absolutely must run all of these business models past your CPA before you execute. You need a strategy to optimize your income.
Like utilizing a solo 401k or a SEP IRA, maybe.
Exactly. Those vehicles allow you to shelter significant portions of your new business income, reducing your taxable footprint.
And potentially keeping you under those Social Security limits if managed correctly.
Right. A second act business is not just about finding work you enjoy or staying busy. It is a serious exercise in wealth management and tax strategy.
Your decades of corporate discipline need to be applied directly to your own personal balance sheet now. You are the chief executive of your own transition.
So look at your phone today. Scroll through your contacts. Who are the 10 former colleagues or industry peers you can call this week to run that exact validation test?
Ask them about their problems. Listen to their pain points. See if the data points you toward a fractional role, a consulting gig, or a cohort.
Do not guess what the market wants. Gather the real data.
That's your executive briefing for this week. Subscribe to the Retirepreneur newsletter at retirepreneur.com for the full written version of every topic we cover. Until next week, keep building.